Am I the jerk for telling my friend that her free wedding is unrealistic? I, 24 female, am a member of a friend group in which one member will call her Coral, 23 female, is getting married. She announced her engagement to her fiancé, 25 male, is a few weeks ago, and we were all happy for her. Over the weekend, though, she shared more specific plans for the wedding, and that's where things have kind of gone off the rails. She said she's been seeing a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram showing how to plan free weddings. Weddings where the couple spends $0, aside from the marriage certificate fee, I guess. At first, I thought she meant a city hall wedding, which would be completely fine. But then she got eye to the details and her expectations for the ceremony. She's going to try and find someone with a large outdoor space to use, not formally a wedding venue, who will donate their area in support of love. She's going to have all of her guests bring a potluck, with very specific assignments. She will have a friend officiate, a friend do photography, a friend do save the dates and invites, her family do the flowers, etc., including some harder to swing. IMO things like getting a large tent, decorations, wedding favors, speakers, band, etc. I'm not sure what her plan was for a dress. What's more is that Coral and her fiancé really aren't poor from what I can tell. She works as an accountant at a big company and her fiancé does software sales. Plus, his parents are loaded. It sounds like they just want to do the free wedding thing for the sake of it. That would be okay, but she is just shifting all of the costs onto other people, some of whom are probably less well off. She told me that she wants me to make the cake, and then sent me some pictures for inspiration. The cakes were ridiculously elaborate. We're talking multi-tier, fondant flowers, gold leaf, and one even had a hand-painted watercolor design. I'm not a professional baker, I just like to bake cookies and brownies sometimes. I told her that those cakes would probably take me days to make, and they wouldn't come out anywhere near as good. She kind of laughed that off and said, "Oh, it's not about it being perfect, it's just about everyone pitching in. It'll be fun." I told her that fun or not, what she was describing was basically her friends and family subsidizing her wedding, with time, money, and labor, and that it was kind of unfair to expect people to spend so much on her free wedding, or else she was expecting everyone to show up to a lackluster event and just pretend it was amazing. It's like a group project that none of us wanted to do because we already graduated and moved on from all that, so we don't need the credit. She does graduate a year later, the rest of us. I said that if she wants a free wedding, she should probably just elope or go to City Hall, because this isn't really free. It's just free for her. I might have been a bit more forceful in my wording, but I didn't swear or call her names or anything like that. She got super quiet and just looked at me for a minute or so and then left, with another one of our friends driving her home. Later that night, I got a text from that friend saying I had really hurt Coral's feelings and that even if the plans were a bit unrealistic, I should have just let Coral come to that conclusion on her own. Coral then messaged me just saying, "Sorry, don't worry about the cake," with no more context. I'm feeling pretty bad now, especially since Coral was so happy and excited and she never really said anything mean to me. Perhaps I should have just gone along with the cake, since she said she wouldn't be mad if it turned out badly. But I am worried that her wedding would not have been what she wanted, and I was also frustrated about the cake request. Honestly, I feel a bit bad now. Coral really is a sweet person who is just a bit naive. I feel like a lot of people in the comments are tearing her up more than she deserves. She has always been the baby of the group, and I just got frustrated and ranted on this case. I don't know what the fiancé thinks about all of this. So am I the jerk for telling my friend that her free wedding is unrealistic? Am I the jerk for refusing to pick up my 4-year-old from my ex? I know how the title sounds, but hear me out. I have a 4-year-old with my ex. Him and his girlfriend were expecting a baby any day now. It was around 12 a.m. on Saturday when he called me and asked me to pick up my son because his girlfriend was in labor. I had no problem watching my son, but I had been drinking, so I told him I wouldn't be able to pick him up and he needed to be dropped off. They live a 5-minute drive away from me. He argued with me and told me I needed to come and pick him up now, since she was in labor. I explained I had been drinking and would not be driving to come get him because I did not feel safe driving myself, let alone with my 4-year-old in the car. I was perfectly capable of watching him, but he would need to be dropped off to me since I had had a few drinks. He called me irresponsible and told me I shouldn't have been drinking so close to her due date. He never once told me her due date or that I should be available during his parenting time to pick him up in case she goes into labor. I told him that while my 4-year-old is my responsibility on my parenting time, his girlfriend and new baby were not my responsibility. I also said it would be irresponsible of me drive after I had a few drinks. I reiterated that I was willing to take him, but he needed to drop him off because I would not be driving since I'd had a few drinks. He started yelling at me over the phone to get over here now. So I just hung up and sent him a text that I was home if he decided to drop him off. He ended up dropping him off and screaming at me in front of our 4-year-old, so I took my son inside and locked the door. This whole argument took 30 minutes, while he could have just drove the 5 minutes and dropped him off and been on his way. I honestly feel sorry for the girlfriend for having to wait even longer to go to the hospital, But I was not about to put my son or anyone else in danger because he wanted me to drive while I'd been drinking. So am I the jerk for refusing to pick up my son? Am I a jerk for not wanting to use any part of my husband's late girlfriend's name for our child? My husband and I have been together for 6 years, married for 3, and now we're expecting our first child. My husband lost his first girlfriend, Emmy, when they were both 21. They'd been together for almost 6 years, and he truly loved her. He was honest with me about her and about the fact she would always be someone he missed, and he had maintained a relationship with Emmy's parents. That was always okay with me. He seemed in a good place to be in another relationship, and he dated before me, so it was reassuring. About 6 weeks ago, my husband mentioned that if we had a girl, he would love to use Emmy or Grace, which was Emmy's middle name, somewhere in the name. He told me it was something he always thought of doing, and he told me for a boy he had ways of using masculine forms of Emmy or Grace somewhere in a boy's name. I told him I wasn't really on board with that, and he never mentioned this to me before. He asked me why he would, and then said he didn't know why I'd be difficult about it. It was a few days later he told me he wanted to use the names, and he was putting his foot down that he should be allowed to. He said we can add it as a second middle name if I won't consider a first name or first middle name, but that it should absolutely be in there somewhere. He said only someone jealous would be hesitant to use it like I am. I asked him how he'd feel about it if he were in my shoes if I wanted to name our child after someone else that I would always love but couldn't be with. He told me he would suck it up for my sake, and he would accept the dead aren't competition. Then he said he would actually be the one suggesting it, and there would be no weirdness for him. It was a couple of weeks later before he brought it up again, and this time he said he would do this even if I loved my late partner more, and was only with him because I couldn't be with my late partner. If I had one, I don't. That became something more emotional for me because it felt like a confession when he brought it up because it was randomly said to me. But maybe it also felt like he might be speaking for his feelings and how he might think I'd feel. I never had an issue with him loving Emmy or remembering her, feeling sad about her death or anything. I just never thought I'd be asked to name my child after her. To me, it feels weird and wrong, and this whole thing has made me insecure in our marriage. I told him as much, and he suggested I was jealous and shouldn't be so threatened by someone who died. He told his sister what was happening a week ago, and now she's asking me to explain my feelings and asking if I'm a woman or a little girl, because only a little girl would be so jealous of a dead partner. I asked my husband why he told his sister, because now she was getting involved. He said he had to vent to someone, and he felt I was being unreasonable and unkind about this. So am I a jerk? Am I the jerk if I report a nurse for asking for my number during a procedure? I, 21 female, had an EMG this morning. It's a test where they use little needles and electrodes to check how your nerves and muscles work. It's already a vulnerable situation since you're laying down in a cold room in a backless gown and can't really leave in the middle, and on top of that I have anxiety as well, and I didn't bring anyone to the appointment with me like I usually do. The nurse who was doing the first part of the test, the electrodes part because the actual doctor does the needles, made me really uncomfortable. He kept flirting and asking me out even though I tried to shut it down. Just a few of his comments are listed here. I couldn't remember them all. The comments are, I'm also a personal trainer. Maybe I can help you stretch sometime. Am I charming you? Am I making you nervous? I want to show you around the city. Maybe we could get together and find a nice spot. Can I get your number? You're so beautiful. You have such a beautiful skin complexion, like a Nubian or Egyptian. Where are you from? Why don't you date? Why are you single? I want to take you driving. When I explained I'm happy single and don't want to casually date for religious reasons, he said, you never know, maybe if you find the right person. I'd love to show you around. He also commented on old scars on my arm. They're clearly old scars. Literally, no other medical professional has ever brought them up, not even the neurologist that came in right after him. So that felt like he was violating my privacy. At some points, he even held onto my arm in a way that made me really uncomfortable. For context, I've never had a boyfriend, never even held hands with anyone, and I'd never even gotten male attention until recently. I also have really bad anxiety, and during the appointment I kind of shut down and couldn't think straight. He was clearly older than me, and I felt really vulnerable the whole time. I tried to redirect the conversation, but he kept pushing. At the end, he asked for my Instagram. I said I don't really use it, but he kept at me. You don't want to go on a date, so at least give me that much. You should hit me up sometime. So I gave him my public account and blocked him as soon as I got to my car. I felt so nauseous and guilty sitting in my car, especially because I kept engaging with him and responding to his questions. I feel like I should have said something about how he was making me feel weird, or asked for another nurse, or even complained to the doctor, but I didn't know what to do. I feel like I should have stood up for myself, but on the other hand, I couldn't even think straight, and I was so panicky. Now, on one hand, this felt super unprofessional, inappropriate, and unethical. I don't want other people to be put in that position. On the other, I feel bad about potentially affecting his income job, especially with how things are in the economy right now, and I'm also worried about the possibility that he has access to and can see all of my medical information and personal information. I have no idea what to do, and I'd really like some input or advice from someone who works in the field or has experienced this before. Update. I sent an official complaint to their HR office, and I'm on hold with a patient advocate right now. I really hope that they can make it so that guy can never do this again to anyone. Someone in the comments said to see if I can report him to the state board, so I'm going to do that next. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration entertainment purposes only.